So today I want to introduce you to the new Gerber Center Drive Mini, and we'll get to that. Is it really new? Why it is, why it isn't? And let's go ahead and start with some brief history of the tools that Gerber has on its website at the moment. So the Gerber Dual Force was just released about last year. So this is a really cool tool right here. You've got the outside screwdriver, you've got the chisel, you've got the file, and then you also have the knife, and then you do have a saw on the outside. And then one of the beauties of this tool is you've got this adjustable, this slip joint rather, plier head right here, adjustable jaw plier head. And then you do also have the bit holders in the back that hold extra bits to use for your screwdriver. So all that's pretty cool. So that's pretty much Gerber's heavy duty frame size. And then you've got the center drive. It's got some internal tools, and that's another heavy duty tool. Pretty cool. And then Gerber has more tools, but when we think more of its modern lineup, there's the NXT, but it has really been copied, and the copies go by, I think, Byberry and all kinds of different names, Felis and so forth, but they pretty much have the same tool set, the same design at a lot cheaper price. And then Gerber sort of drops down to the Crucial. Now, of course, they have some of the MP line, the 600, 400, the 400 seems to have sort of gone, but the 600, there's still some of those on their website, the MP 800, but even those seem a little bit outdated at the moment. Gerber Crucial is okay, but it just really, to me, doesn't offer enough for me to really carry it. And I'm not as attracted to this design as to some other tools. So, and of course there's the dime as well in the very, very small variant. So it begs the question, what Gerber should I carry? So I went on a quest, and one of the Gerbers that I feel like that Gerber did an excellent job was some of these Gerber Armbar variants. So I actually don't have the bit driver in this one right here, but this is the Gerber Armbar Trade. And so you do finally have the pocket clip on this. And then obviously you have the knife and some other tools as well. You had the awl, and then you did have the saw as well on this. So I thought this was a pretty cool tool, again, with the little hammer and the bottle cap lifter. And I thought, why didn't Gerber make a plier-based version? Because this comes in about 3.5 inches, just perfect to fit under, sort of mid-range, under the suspension lineup. And I thought that would slot really nicely. So I made a short video on it, and a lot of you seem to actually like that idea. So I went ahead and I had a Gerber Scout, which I like the bit driver better, so I saved rather the Trade. So I tore apart my Gerber Scout, and I took all the internal parts out of it, and it's very easy to take apart the Gerber because all you need is basically a fairly good set of pliers, and then you grab this and you can use the internal, and then you can actually move this pivot. How the Gerber works is it has a slot. So this side right here always stays solid, and then you just turn this counterclockwise and you can loosen the tool. So I really like Gerber's design because it's one of the easiest designs to mod, or easier at least. And so that was really easy to do that. And then I took apart a Gerber Armbar drive, well, just a Gerber Armbar, a regular one. So Gerber Armbar and a Gerber Scout. I took them apart. I left the knife on the inside, and then I just took the internals out, and then I had two parts like this with the pocket clip, and so this is what you end up with. Now, what I wanted is not only a knife on the outside, so here's my knife, and this is on the Gerber Scout right here. So I left the knife on there and then the pocket clip on the outside. But what I also wanted is I also wanted a bit driver on the outside as well. So what I did is I went ahead and again took apart the Gerber Armbar Drive Slim, and I used the bit driver on the outside. Now it's not perfect. Unfortunately, the locking tab right here is too high, so it can't fit right here. And so you would need more metal on this, but I did lock it down. I tightened the pivot so much that you've got a very strong pivot, and it really sort of locks into place just because I tightened the pivot down so much. So then what I went ahead and did is I added a Gerber, or a Leatherman rather, a Leatherman rebar plier head. So I had a Gerber, I keep saying Gerber, a Leatherman rebar plier head, and someone had really filed down the end of it, and I just recently bought a new rebar. So I wanted to go ahead and just use this because the pivots for the Gerber Armbar are actually too thick to fit through most of your plier heads on the market. So the first plier head I was going to use was actually from the Gerber MP800. I had an extra one of these lying around, but they're spring loaded, so these handles kept flying open, so I wanted a non-spring loaded plier head. That was very important to me. And so the rebar, I thought, why not sacrifice it? It's already got some messed up pliers, handles, and so forth. So I used this tool, very similar to the one that's now sold on Amazon from a multi-part store. I definitely recommend you getting one of these for your older Leathermans. And then you very easily can just hold one on the one side, one on the other, and take it apart. Now for the pivots, I needed long enough pivots, so I had a Gerber MP800 that I had taken apart. So these pivots are actually from the Gerber MP800. So I've got about 4 or 5 multi-tool parts in here. And then I use various spacers because you have some extra room as well on these pivots. And so I went ahead and used that, and I'm pretty happy with what I came up with. So this right here, I guess some of you called it when I showed what I wish Gerber would do in the short before I'd even made this. I was just sort of an idea form at that stage. And so some of you said the Gerber Mini Center Drive, and I like that name, so I think that's what we'll call this, a Gerber Mini Center Drive. Obviously, it's not out the front pliers, but again, it comes into that about 3.5-inch frame size, and it's a very pocketable tool. It does come in at 6.3 ounces, or 178 grams, so it is a little bit heavier than the Crucial, but I like this screwdriver, outside screwdriver, the knife, and then you get this full set of pliers basically. So again, when we compare it to the Crucial right here, the Crucial has a very skinny set of pliers, and when you add the rebar set of pliers in here, my, that's got some heavy duty pliers, and these handles close very well. I'm able to actually get enough grip so I can pull like a hair, and anyway, yeah, so pretty cool with that as well. So pretty excited about this mod. I feel like it turned out better than most of my mods. Usually they don't turn out that well. Now, one of the interesting things I learned along the way was that you have to include these almost like washer-like parts because they hold down the parts against the spring. So especially on the knife, that's very important. When I use these pivots, the pivots are actually smaller, and so the knife would not lock in the closed position. So I had to try to put some tape around the pivot. As a short-term solution, again, I would try to do something else if I was going to maybe carry this solely long-term, but you have to get the knife anchored in correctly around the pivot, and then you have to use this circular flat washer. It's not a washer, but this flat part right here, and what that does is it anchors the knife against the spring, and then it holds it in place. So it's a very important part that I did not realize until I wondered why the knife would not lock into place. So both those things are very important. But overall, I did have to do a tiny bit of trimming right here. I took the metal edge off here. So when you see like on a Gerber, normal Gerber right here, they have this part. So I just took my Dremel tool and cut it all off so that the screwdriver would fit. And then it actually worked pretty good. So it sits right there in place. Now, again, unfortunately, you cannot use the Gerber Armbar drive because it's too bulky. That's what I did at first. I thought for sure it would work, but it's just, it has too much real estate on the other side, and it just gets in the way and it will not sit flat. So you've got to use the slim version, unfortunately, on the outside. So you've got to butcher several multi-tools to get this, but I think this is a cool design. And I really think Gerber could possibly, I think this might be a really good tool for their lineup. Now, obviously, they would do a better job. They could lighten the frame. They can make a lot lighter tool. But I think it's a fairly easy thing for Gerber to do. And just using parts they have lying around, they can make a brand new multi-tool. And one of the cool things is I thought these plier jaws would be way off because the scales are off. But they're actually not off that much. Again, Gerber might have to redo this because they're made so the knife is all on the right hand side. So when you switch it, then the internal tools are off a little bit, if you can see that. So Gerber would have to redesign this a little bit, but they'd have to just switch the outside tool to be on this side where the pocket clip is, and then the pocket clip be on the other side. So anyway, I don't think it's a huge thing. I thought even if you make notches here, this makes a pretty good nail puller right here because you can get a lot of force here at the bottom. You have this hammer base. Of course, you've got these bottle cap lifters. So I feel like there's so much potential in a frame like this, and pretty excited again how it turned out. Gerber, you need to make this.